Hello, it's Vidas again, and in this video I will teach you how to play and improvise an interesting musical composition, basically a canon. Canon is a polyphonic technique where one voice leads and another imitates it, either is in strict imitation or in a little bit freer imitation. So today we'll choose an interesting mode, perhaps one of the ancient modes. It's called Mixolydian mode. How about from F note? This is like F major, but with 7th lowered scale degree. That will be F major, but with two flats, basically B flat and E flat. Okay, and on the second manual will be the same. So the principle for this technique for canon is simply to imitate one voice. One voice creates a melody and another imitates it, and our imitation will be rhythmical. We'll use different notes in each note, but sort of more or less the same rhythms. I'll show you what I mean. For example, if the right hand plays 3 or 4 consecutive 8 notes, then after a while the left hand has to play also the same rhythms, 8 notes. So what I do is simply play a melody in the right hand and then later imitate it in the left hand with different notes perhaps, but using the same pitches that are in F Mixolydian mode with 2 flats, B flat and F. We can choose this pedal point on the note F, and maybe we could start with an interesting introduction like this. What's happening? My right hand leads and my left hand follows with different pitches, with different melodies, but using the pitches from the F Mixolydian mode. That's very simple technique, but polyphonically very interesting, because the listener will hear an impression of the dialogue between the two parts, right hand and the left hand. You can use different registrations, one for right hand, one for left hand. For example, my organ here doesn't have it, so I'll play only on 8-foot stop. But if you have, for example, a reed in the left hand part, a gentle reed in the left hand part, and then perhaps a cornet for the right hand part, would be very, very interesting to try. And for the pedal point in the pedals in the feet, you could use 16 and 8-foot flute stops as a long drone, basically, a long tonic pedal point, basically. So that would be our interesting beginning of our piece. You could play like that for 10 minutes, right? Imitating one voice in F Mixolydian mode, like this. You could do this for a long time, but the question begins to be, is it interesting? Is it interesting enough to play for 10 minutes in F Mixolydian mode? And I will say that it probably isn't, because it's more interesting to change something, right? So change either rhythms or even the modes, the melodic contour, melodic shape. So one of the ways is to introduce a little bit agitated rhythms, agitated rhythmical values, perhaps 16th notes, like that. Sometimes it's with 16ths, sometimes without. And in combination with 8 notes and 16th, it begins to be a very interesting melodic and rhythmical piece. But we could also play something in a different mode. Perhaps our A section in our ABA form, very simple ternary structure, could be in F mixolydian, but the B could be very contrasting section using maybe a sort of minor sad sounding mode. How about Phrygian? Phrygian is sort of a minor mode, but with second lowered scale degree. If we start from D, we could start from any pitches, right? But let's say it's on D, E flat. Also, there are 2 flats, but we start on D. So the pedal point would be on the note D, and then perhaps we would use melodic interest moves in the pedal, and it begins to sound a little sad because it sounds like Phrygian mode. So that could be an interesting middle section. If you want more contrast, you could add a mode which has a little more sharps in it. Not 2 flats, but for example 2 sharps, starting on D. Like D major. In ancient modes, it's called Ionian mode, right? So like that. It begins to be quite interesting if we add some sharps in it. The modes basically are your choice. It's just an example for my piece, but you can use any mode you want. You can use any combinations of sharps and flats that you want. Everything is possible here. But the main idea is basically to create a dialogue between the 2 parts, the right hand and left hand part, maybe with different registrations, maybe with the same registration. It could be on the same manual. If you have just one manual organ, it could be the same. So it's very, very pleasing to do dialogues between the voices, and sometimes duets if you want to move together in parallel intervals, like that. This dialogue could be a duet once in a while. So that's how you create a canon. You could also remember that while one voice is stationary, another is moving, and vice versa, right? For example, this right hand moves, and then it stays, right? And then the left hand moves. While left hand stays, then the right hand moves. you basically just have to remember that you have to have a certain number of accidentals in order for this mode sound stylistically appropriate. Any dissonances will be appropriate as long as you stay within the mode. In my case, 2 flats or 2 sharps in the Ionian. So that could be our second part of the composition. And for the third part, in ABA section, the last A recapitulation could be the same as in the beginning, returning to the older key, older mode of Mixolydian, with different rhythms, perhaps a little bit different. But that could be very interesting a piece. It could last anywhere from 1 to 3 or even 5 minutes. So good luck in your improvisations, and I'll see you again next time with the next video. Bye bye.